Today's film is Curse of the Zodiac from 2007, written and directed by one-time Andy Warhol collaborator Ulli Lommel. As I expected from a late period Lommel production, several of which frequented the IMDb bottom 100 at one time or another, I have no fucking clue what's going on in this film. So for a synopsis, all I can give is that a detective is being taunted by a man who claims to be the Zodiac killer as he kills several women around the San Francisco area. The late Ulli Lommel, in his 40-plus year film career, directed a wide variety of films, from punk rock musicals to bottom-of-the-barrel action-exploitation trash, though he is most known by his horror output. Here, he tackled themes as varied as telepathy, witchcraft, zombies, and even brain transplants. However, in the early 2000s to late 2010s, burning through several production companies as he did, his output would almost exclusively return again and again and again to the theme that started off his directorial career with Tenderness of the Wolves: serial killers. This period in Lommel's career, starting in 2004 and mercifully ending in 2012, is infamous for producing not just the gutter worst of his output, but possibly some of the most incoherent and alienating horror films in the genre's long and winding history to date. No one, from the likes of Coleman Francis to Uwe Boll to James Nguyen, have made films so overall ugly and so deliberately anti-cinema as Lommel did in this period. It is truly an achievement unto itself. Lommel did make good films. He worked with Fassbender, for Christ's sake. But this was not 1967. This was 2007. It doesn't get worse than a bad Ulli Lommel film, and Curse of the Zodiac is among the worst of the worst. Not that I don't want to review, it's just that I can't. Zodiac is beyond impenetrable, and not in any meaningful way. Structure-wise, this is a very basic slasher film, but the direction is so experimental, it drowns out any sense of story. So all I got from it in terms of narrative continuity is where one scene ended and one scene began. This nonsense makes Lommel's Black Dahlia look like a competent film, and that is saying something. Lommel throws such an overload of video effects into the mix as well. It honestly feels like enthusiasm on his part. Non-linear editing might as well have reignited the passion within Lommel that was seemingly beaten out of him through a relatively dry spell in the 1990s. I'm not saying any of it's good. In fact, some of it is the worst aesthetics that I've ever seen in a horror film. But the eyesore filters, gonzo handheld camera work, and speed cranks do come from a place of sincerity. They have to. I've seen what laziness looks like from this period of digital video horror many times. This ain't it, Chief. Curse of the Zodiac may be unwatchable, but it is not atypical. Lommel did not credit himself with editing Curse of the Zodiac, but he sure as hell dictated the process. There's a reason why these serial killer films from Lommel have gained so much notoriety. All creative decisions made for this film set out to achieve one of two goals: hurt the audience in some way, or satisfy Lommel's ego. How he got this second wind so late in his career and after so much Z-grade content is beyond me. But Curse of the Zodiac is terrible in a way only ambition can provide. All the acting is tawdry improv. Most of the shots are obviously out of focus when they are not above a 90-degree angle, and Lommel's narration as the Zodiac drowns out almost the entire film with misanthropic edgelord misogyny delivered in a voice so laughably pretentious that its presence alone makes this film, being a vanity project, an indisputable fact. I am slightly tempted to see Zodiac as an example of pop art, since Lommel was once upon a time at the epicenter of that artistic movement. His statement upon the torture porn era of horror cinema, as it were. It feels just impenetrable enough to have that Chelsea Girls feel, but man, that's way more charity than this film deserves. It's an indulgent examination that takes one of the lesser misogynistic serial killers and uses his infamy as a springboard for the director's own misogynistic tirades. Ully Lommel was no Paul Morrissey. Lommel was probably the most misanthropic director who has ever lived, and Curse of the Zodiac is him at his most maniacally raw. In conclusion, Ully Lommel might have had a ball filming and starring in Curse of the Zodiac, but for nearly all horror fans and cineasts, this film is a step above awful, and fully deserving of its reputation. The story is near impossible to follow, and the visuals are about as courteous to the eyes as a splash of battery acid. Unless you find yourself in that deep mood, I suggest avoiding this film at all costs. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. Tomorrow's film is The Ghouls.